fantastic. Greetings from Musikkittalo, the music center in Helsinki, at the 2023 Rieger organ. I'm going to do a little bit of a tour of the console itself. We don't have time, unfortunately, to do a full tour of the organ, and I'm experimenting with some of the special features of this organ. One of the interesting things about this instrument that the entire organ is enclosed, so the organ is very expressive. That's the orchestral division. You can see how they close and open up. And that is the general for the entire case. You can close it and open it. It's quite impressive. Very quiet too. So one of the things that you first notice about this layout here is that you can map all the divisions on any manual you want. So here is the positive division, and you can play it from any of these manuals. So if you press 1, it's on the first manual. If you press 2, it's on the second, and so forth. And you can have it on more than one manuals, or on the pedal. So these are in fact couplers. So the entire organ is like a Hauptwerk organ where you can map it the way you want. Here's the 4-foot coupler, the 8-foot off, which is a great feature to have, and a Pizzicato feature, which is sort of weird but kind of fun. Okay, let's map it on the second. And if you play it, of course you have a Sostenuto on each manual, which is the opposite of the Pizzicato. So if you play staccato, you can't have both. The Pizzicato overrides the Sostenuto, I guess. So that's one thing which is interesting about this console. The Musikkittalo organ has two consoles. One is a purely mechanical action console up next to the case, and the other is a purely electric action console on the stage that could be moved as needed for orchestral and recital performances. One of my biggest frustrations with electric action organs is that it's not allowing the organist to control the speed at which valves are opening. So refined articulation is not possible. That is what this proportionate key action is trying to compensate for. There are two settings for it on the console. One is the default setting, the key mode tracker. The other is a more sensitive mode, the key mode, proportionate mode. I like the default setting, the key mode tracker, which approximates a tracker action best with a strong feel of attack. You also have the option of turning the proportionate settings off, the key mode off setting, which is like playing a regular electric action organ. So let's see what these modes can do. Starting with the default setting, do it with the principal 8 of the grade, map it on the second manual. Now I'm turning it off completely. That's the regular electric action. It's completely dead that way. Even like the sound better with the proportionate action, because the valves are opening a little bit slower, and that makes the pipes speak more naturally. Let's try the other mode, the proportionate key mode, the principle 8. Yes, so what I feel is that in this mode, the depth at which the keys are sensitive is a little bit deeper, so there's no so-called Druckpunkt, where you feel like after a certain depth, the valve just breaks. Here, it goes past that point and still opens slowly. In a way, this mode is like a cone valve organ for romantic music. Perhaps it's better for romantic music where you really need this squishy kind of slow open. For overly legato playing maybe. But I like the default setting. It gives a little bit of better feeling of playing a tracker action organ. Turning it off. It somehow feels different. Maybe it's just placebo, but I like it. Anyways, that's the proportionate key action. I have played proportionate key action organs before, but I've never seen an organ with electric proportionate stop action. Let's explore these half-full stops. So you have to turn on the proportionate stop mode. You see that the stop knobs are unusual. They have this carbon fiber track here, which I guess senses the position of the stop knobs and sends that signal to the slider. And when you are in this mode, the slider is moving exactly at the position where you position the stop knobs. So let's see, I'm just going to show you with my hand. So I'm playing a chord. Something more dissonant like the ligeti. You can set it actually on the generals, and you can set a sequence and just go thousands of combinations in a sequence. So you can theoretically, if you have time, set a sequence of half-full stops. I haven't actually done that, so let's try that. So set this. Let's just set the principle first. It really remembers it. Fantastic. It's really a cool feature. and you can combine it with the flexible wind option. One of the simplest, but in my opinion the most effective special techniques of this organ is the flexible wind for the positive and orchestral divisions. Here you have what look like two swell pedals, but in fact they are wind regulating pedals that vary the wind pressure for these two divisions. You also get a display that shows you the amount of wind reached with these pedals. The normal wind pressure is not 100% at the display, but at 50%. This makes it possible to not only underwind, but overwind these divisions. So let's hear what this does. But I am going to use stop that eats up a lot of wind, like the Quintadena 16. Since we are here on this side on the console, you can see that this has customizable positions of the console itself, which is pretty convenient if you want to raise the pedal board, for example. Oh, this was the entire console. You can raise the entire console. Okay. And you can set your user's preferences just like in a luxury car. You can move the pedal in and out. I don't know if you can see. And the pedal board can be positioned left and right as you prefer. So you can have C under C or D under D as you wish. And you can have the BDO norm reached by pressing this. Okay. I'm not quite sure what these are, but this is a pretty cool feature of this console. So on this side we have a very discreetly stocked touchscreen where you can access your combinations and you can do interesting things, for example couplers, which is pretty complicated. So you can set up a coupler that is irregular. Here are the divisions. For example, I have a microtonal coupler set up that will copy the solo microtonal division to itself, which is pretty cool. You will have an octave and another octave coupled to itself. I use that in my piece. But you can set up like a third coupler, a tritone coupler, a 7 coupler if you want. You can set the crescendo, define the crescendo, and it's really nicely tucked away, so if you don't need it, you just hide it. So you also have a page turning feature on this organ. If you use an iPad, you connect to the console via Bluetooth. You have to press that button to make it visible, And if you have a page turner next to you, you can ask them to turn pages for you by turning this and moving the sequencer by pressing these buttons. But you can also do that yourself. The console has toe studs, very few of them, but very conveniently placed. This is for the sequencer. And if you use an iPad, this is for page turning. So you can do both yourself, and you can go backwards as well, both the page turning and the sequencer. So one of the unique features of this organ is the microtonal division. The microtonal stops are 3 stops on the solo division that have 24 divisions per octave. These are the principal 4, violoncelle 8 and the clarinet 8. On the mechanical console upstairs there is a manual with sub-semitones, but on the stage console one must use 2 manuals to play these stops effectively. So how to use these stops? You have to map them on the desired manual. So let's put the microtonal on the 4th manual, and the solo division here, it's the same stop. You couple it on the 3rd. So what you get is a chromatic scale on the regular principal 4 on the 3rd manual, and the same regular but quarter tone higher chromatic scale on the 4th manual. So when you combine these two, you get this super chromatic scale. Which is pretty cool. Let's hear the clarinet. You have to practice different scales on this one. And the violoncelle. And you also have a stop called the Glissando, which is 2 octaves covering the entire keyboard. 61 notes. It gives a whole new meaning to chromaticism. Microtonal division coupled to itself. It's a minor 3rd and an octave, but the microtonal division is the 3rd, so it's a little bit out of tune. A very cool effect. Oh, I haven't tried the tuba. I just closed the solo division and the general, and the tuba just disappeared.